Welcome to Surviving the Dream with your hosts, Casey Arnold
and David Conley.
We're here to talk to people who seem to have their dream job and find out, what did it take? Is it what they imagined? Is it worth it? How do they do it?
Join us as we uncover the secrets of surviving the dream.
Hi, Dave. Good morning.
Hello, Casey.
We're doing an early dream podcast today, which is not my best self hour. How about you?
Well, it just meant that I had to keep that coffee machine going, you know. That's the way I get through it. I'm getting ready for my big trip to Europe anyway. So in Europe right now, it's in the evening. So I should probably...
So you're getting ready for bed?
Yeah. I'm going to get ready to bed, have a glass of wine in a second before we introduce our guest. You know, European style, you know.
It's the only way to handle jet lag. You just swap like coffee and martinis depending on whatever hour your body is supposed to be on.
With no judgment. No judgment whatsoever. Yeah. I'm drunk and caffeined up at the same time.
All right. Well, should we bring on our guest and see if she's caffeinated or being a morning drinker, tapping into some other time zone?
I think we should. That could save us.
Okay. Now, I'm very excited to talk to her because she's like a woman of many dreams. You know her from Strictly Come Dancing and Dancing with the Stars in the UK and New Zealand. Then she pivoted to become a best-selling author, life coach, hypnotherapist, and founder of a lifestyle and meditation app called Zenme. Very excited for us to talk to the totally unmotivated, clearly, Camilla Sacre-Dallerup.
Hello. I'm excited to be here chatting with you. And I am on coffee number 2. And
wow.
I think it's because I tapped into the UK time zone last night too. So
yeah,
I don't know what happened.
You didn't send me the memo. I need to like hit pause and get my coffee machine going. So I can be zipped
You're
up.
so American. Get into the UK time zone, Casey. That's what all our guests are doing.
I really appreciate how much coffee they drink in Europe because I have definitely like had to go there for work. And I don't know about you guys, but jet lag hits me so hard. And like when they fly you over there, like they're really flying your brain over. And it's like, okay, it's 8 a.m. our time zone and 2 a.m. your time zone. And you've had no sleep. What's your best creative idea? And you're like, I don't even know my name right now. What? You know, but at least they drink coffee every hour. So you can be like, how's that? Just mainline, like God bless the inventor of coffee.
Yeah, I think that's the only difference between jet lag and COVID. Because I thought when I had COVID...
You can't drink enough coffee to get your COVID self going.
Yeah, whereas with jet lag, there is always coffee. Because when I had COVID, someone said, what was it like? And and now we've all had it. I went, to be honest, it was like severe jet lag. You know?
That you can't get over.
And you were just completely exhausted. Anyway, enough about my maladies. I want to know more about Camilla, who's got so many hyphenates. I was writing, and I've just written down hyphenates. God, there's so many. I don't know where to start.
I was watching your face as I said all the things she did, and I'm like, yes, Dave, we are underachievers.
Yeah.
And as we talk about energy, I want to know, so when you're like a professional dancer, even before you get to being on 2 shows, like okay, let me back up a little, I guess. A, when did that dream start? And also, how do you have enough energy to sustain a dream that is also physical that, like, I think you're not allowed to be tired, right?
Keywords, not allowed to be tired. I was thinking about it this morning, considering, the title of your show and everything. And I was like, when did I decide that was my dream to become a professional dancer? And at some point in my early childhood, I just clicked some sort of button that went, I'm committed to this, and that's it. And it was bizarre because I had other things I wanted to explore, but I think I just sort of logged in. And then I woke up at 35, I'm not joking, in a burnout and went, what's just happened? I'm so tired. Like I was tired for like a few years. I had a proper burnout.
Yeah.
So good question there.
Well, I mean, I've seen some of your dancing. I don't even think my body is capable of moving that fast. So doing it for like 3 decades, that would, aside from the mental pressure of like, be the best, be the best, be the best, be the best, your body must be physically, do you think that was part of what like shifted the dream change, or how did you sustain that energy? Sorry, Dave, I'm going to let you talk at some point too.
No. Well, then you can, then I'll dance so that everyone can see how I can do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Good. Okay. I sustained it because once I was committed, what was the other version? I was so all in that literally dancing was kind of all I knew. Mm-hmm. And then we got to a point where taking time off was almost more painful to get back into training. Like if we took 2 weeks holiday, I was like, oh, I'm not doing this to the body, because the body easily starts to relax.
Yeah.
So a long time ago, I was like, 7 days is the max holiday I'll have. It was like a mindset where I just clicked in and I just stopped asking, honestly, if there was not a day where I wasn't a little bit sore or tired or uncomfortable in the body. It just became the norm. Yeah. And that sounds so weird to me now.
That's the same with me, Camilla. It's the same with me. And I'm not a dancer. So I tell you what, I want to know.
It's the same of keeping the writing muscle sharp, right? Like if you stop writing for a while and then somebody's like, hey, well, I guess writing a joke is still pretty easy. But if they're like, okay, write this script, you're like, totally. Oh, wait, that requires so much discipline, which I have not been doing lately.
What I want to know, Camilla, is like you said, so did you retire from dance at 35? Is that what you said? So were you forced into that, or was that a decision that you made?
I made that decision. Well, my feelings forced me to do so because I felt so lost, so empty, and so stuck. And I literally I didn't even know who I was. I thought, if I'm not a dancer, who am I? Who is Camilla? Because all I knew by then was Camilla the dancer. I'd actually forgotten, or even if I don't even know if I had for years, asked, what do I want? Because I was in such a treadmill of or rat race or whatever we want to call it. It just kept going. And the weirdest thing is, I was finally, after so much hard work, living my dream. Mm-hmm. I had my dream job. And trust me, every day somebody would say, gosh, people would give anything to be doing the job. Any dancer would want to do this job. So I felt guilty. For 3 years, I just thought, I just don't feel like that, because you're so lucky. You're so lucky. You're so lucky. So I sort of just pushed it away and realized that feeling of being stuck and lost and empty and my identity being a dancer, I had to face it and listen.
Is it a problem though? Like, I mean, dancing is very, like, in a way, it's different from, say, like acting. That once you've turned your back on it, there is really no going back, right?
Well, you say that, but I kept getting pulled back. I had retired from the show, and for probably about 5 years after, or at least 4, we kept doing like a yearly tour, because by this point we were quite known in the UK. We had our own tours and so forth, and we were doing theaters. And so I kept I keep saying one toe in the door, because it was also scary. It was my livelihood. It was it was everything. So I do feel very grateful that I got to choose to walk away, because I do understand. I do have colleagues who did not choose because of injuries. And I have a lot of empathy and compassion for that, because that's a really tough way to leave your career. I had nothing left. I had nothing left to give. Nothing.
Well, and it's interesting too that you could dip your toe in like that, because I know I've heard you talk about it before. It's a little bit like you're, for lack of a better term, like part-time famous, right? Because when you go over there, people know you from Strictly Come Dancing, and it's like, oh my God, Camilla. And over here, we're like, I don't know that show. You're just, oh my God, Camilla, I love you as a human. Like, what's it like to go back and forth between like such different existences?
Well, I haven't been back for quite some years now, because I feel like, I needed to walk away like that. And when I got to LA, I didn't talk about my past for a year at all, because I really wanted to be Camilla. So I love that you say that, because that took a lot of work, actually, and courage to start over from scratch and find out who am I without this identity. And I work with,
Sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, and I work with so many people who've gone through this from different types of careers. And it is scary when we tie our identity to what we do. Now I'm like, I'll do different things, but I'm many things. Creatives are many things. That also non-creative jobs, people can do more than one thing. This is just sort of like I didn't like the feeling of being put into one box. You're the dancer and that's what you do. It just felt so uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
And that was in the UK, was it?
Yeah.
And I've been here so long that my accent might confuse you, so I'm a bit of a hybrid, so I missed all that. But I know a few friends who became famous in the UK, and it's a strange bubble, isn't it, with the press, and it's a little bit different from America. I feel like in America you can be in a TV show and no one knows, or everyone who watches it knows, but that you don't know who those people are. So it's not, you can walk around Los Angeles and no one bothers you.
I love that.
Yeah, but in England, that's not the case, is it? I mean,
No.
whenever I've been, my mother-in-law was extremely famous, and I once was in a car crash because, and the reason given was the person said, "Well, I'd never seen somebody famous before, so they just drove into our car," and I just think that. But when she got to America, when she came over, no one knew who she was. And it was a very strange thing of like, oh, no, they're not they're looking at you strange just because you're behaving strange, not because you are famous. Like they're doing.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that experience in the UK, if you could.
It was a very strange experience. I talk about this in my first book, actually, Dream, Believe, Succeed, because I was like literally unknown one day, and then the next day, not for some reasons that I even want to go into here, but some things happened on the show, and suddenly, you're on the front cover of the papers. And it was something that was quite a personal, heartbreak at the time. So it was really odd to be going through something so personal. And then like the newspapers just talking about it as if they knew what was going on. It was the most bizarre experience of my life. Still now when I think about it, and they still mention it when the show goes out every year, there'll still be a line about like 20 years ago.
How nice of them to keep reminding you of old pain.
I mean, we're over that now, we've moved on, but it was a really unlike any other experience, but again, has helped me so much support other people who are in the public eye. So I guess that was the positive that came out of that, but it was bizarre. And again, no matter how long I had been gone from the show, the line I would still get asked was, when are you going back to the show? I'm like, I have a full-fledged like life coaching business. Like I what do you mean, when will I be going back? I've also aged. Like my body is not going to just like jump into a little dress and just spin around. Like I was an expert. I've walked away. Like, do you know what I mean? It was like I was trying so hard to reinvent at the time. And that's why I went to America too, just to say, I'm not doing that anymore. I've left.
So I think, people probably can't imagine letting go of like, but you were famous. Why would you let go of that? So like the added pressure of, no, that's not my dream anymore. Like, how did you come to finding a new dream and manage to tune out like, I hear what you're all saying, but I need to do what makes me happy. And then how did you figure out what that was?
I think what I've realized is that the first part of my life, or the first career, felt ego-based. It was what I thought success looked like. I thought that success was being the best, winning all the trophies. I was so obsessed with winning, and getting on that show. And I mean, that was amazing. That I've learned so much. I only have good things to say about that. But at the end of the day, one day I realized that, oh, hang on a minute. My dream now is to be content. What does that look like? That was just the word that kept I just want to be content. Wake up in the morning and feel content. What does that even mean to me? Because I had traveled so much. I had slept in, different beds all around the world. And suddenly all I wanted was to sleep in my own bed. I thought I wanted that. And at that time, that's what I wanted. But my dream shifted. So it started with wanting to explore what content would look like. And the irony is that's, I believe, is what I help my clients do now. You know what I mean? It's really interesting in all of the amazing things they do. They want to feel, joy and supported and loved and content.
Well, I feel like as a society, sorry, Dave, we probably don't, like, people don't often ask each other that, much less ourselves, right? Like, do you ever call up a friend and, Dave, you're like, hey, how are you doing? What makes you happy today? Like, I feel like a lot of what's fun about us doing this is that we are getting to ask fellow people stuff like that. But in real life, I don't know how much we focus on that. I mean, not in Hollywood, maybe in other places, people
I was just about to say, this sounds like like when I was at drama school, we had a Russian teacher who always used to talk about purpose and super purpose. it sounds like to me that you had to change your purpose.
Yes.
So,
but you know what's funny about that is that the purpose has changed, but yet not really changed, because when we were dancing and performing around the world, and we were known for doing the storytelling of a rumba, right, which is a romantic love story, and often ours would like leave with, you know, sadness, and we go through all the emotions and love and joy and all of it. But really, I feel that's not too dissimilar from what I do now. It's connecting to people emotionally. And that really was the only reason why I kept dancing for as long as I did. You know, for many years at the end, it was not for the competing. It was to connect to an audience and let them feel those things. We've had people come up and said, gosh, I haven't connected to those feelings within myself for so many years. You know, maybe they'd lost someone or they'd broken up. And that to me was everything. And yet that's what I do every day on coaching calls, is to help people connect back to those feelings within as well. So that's the irony of these completely different lifestyles, and yet the connection too.
Yeah.
That's kind of fascinating. I want to know, when you were in the middle of your dance career, did you enjoy it? Or were you just still so driven that you didn't get time to have a nod to it? To say, hey, I'm like everybody else is telling you, you're living the dream. Did you acknowledge it yourself, or were you just so focused and driven that you were almost unaware of it?
Yeah, I wasn't unaware of it because, but there wasn't a lot of time to enjoy once I did the show, because it was just, the schedules were really full on. But when the last years of my professional career, when we were traveling the world, I had like a really important moment. I think I'd read books like The Celestine Prophecy and books like that, and that inspired me in such a great way. And something told me, everywhere you go in the world for the next 3 years, you take a day, whether I was in, you know, Beijing or in Moscow or whatever I was, you know, or in Japan, you know, take a day and explore. And I am so grateful for that, because if I hadn't done that, I would have traveled the world. We performed in something like 36 countries. And see nothing. And so whatever that thought was that came into my head, I will be forever grateful for, because that has made a difference in my life, because my heart feels full from having experienced all of these different cultures and actually seen a little bit. Because before that, we would travel in, compete and leave, travel in, do a lecture, leave, you know?
Yeah.
And that was pretty empty. That felt quite empty inside.
Do you feel like that was the beginning of your shift? Like when you heard that voice about taking a day?
Oh yeah. That was the shift. And then I obviously started the show, and 6 years later, but those years went so quick when we were on the show. And although there were many enjoyable moments, yeah, it was the grind. We were in the trenches doing the grind. It was a lot of work.
It's interesting that you've chosen Los Angeles, because a lot of British celebrities do, and yet it's the anonymity of LA, isn't it? Is that the driving force? I find LA an incredible place. I love it here. It's very creative, and yet you can do your own thing. What drew you to Los Angeles?
It was the place where there were the most kind of self-help people, really, where the meditation was just like the norm. You know, mindfulness was everywhere. People were doing yoga every day and having that, taking care of their wellness, and that for me, I needed to be there. I moved from Denmark to the UK to work with the best coaches for dancing. That served me. So I thought, well, where would I go if I need to be surrounded by like-minded people where I can grow and learn? Where are they all? Like, where is Louise Hay? Where is Deepak Chopra? Well, they're all in California. Or their companies were, or whatever, you know what I mean? And right. It was a time where Marianne Williamson, I could go and listen to her every Monday night and be inspired in person. So I just said to my husband, time for an adventure. What do you think? And he was like, oh, here we go. And here we are 10 years later and American citizens.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is your husband Danish as well?
No, he's British.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love England. I feel like I'm part British because I spent 20 years there. That's still my other home.
Right. But you haven't been back recently?
Not recently, because we moved to the desert now and it's just too nice here. Yeah.
Not so much rain in the desert as there is in England.
Yeah.
Not as much mindfulness in the UK, y'all. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's different. I think it's very different. I think it's different if you're famous as well in the UK. And I think that's kind of interesting. I think it's a different beast than it is in America. The laws are slightly different on that.
Although they've come a long way, David, from over the last 10 years that I've been here, for sure, the conversation around mental health is shifting. And thank goodness that is
I think that side is shifting and has shifted. As Casey knows, I worked in mental health in the 80s, and I did think all that was there. But I think that was for a segment of society. I think that was like, you're mentally ill, we need to look after you, and you will be taken care of. That side of it, I think, was very, very good. Right. And I think it's a general population where, you might not need to be hospitalized, but you can look into it. And I think that has seeped into many facets of British society. I mean, I listen to soccer players, ex-soccer players, saying how that has changed even for them, which was probably a very macho career, but now they all have counselors, therapists.
I feel like here too, Pilates. Like there's been a little bit more of a global shift that it's like okay to talk about your feelings and admit that you're depressed or you have anxiety or whatever. Like tissue boxes now have things printed on them like, I have feelings and it's okay to express them. I'm like, wow, Kleenex does affirmations. Okay.
Do you feel like your conversations have changed, David, between you and your male friends?
Yes, a lot. I think culturally, England and America is different. In England, I feel like it's there is a veneer of banter, which I must admit I miss, and I really enjoy that everyone is super witty.
Call my husband anytime. He misses it too. Please, can I just hook you guys up so you can banter together? Because he tries to banter with me and I'm like, babe.
Yeah. We're all basically like, I mean, God bless Matthew Perry, but we were all Chandler Bings. It's a country of Chandler Bings. We're avoiding by trying to be funny, and usually being funny. I mean, I do miss that, but I always felt that was a good thing, because I think people would kind of tell you that. Yeah. And I remember my wife saying once when she came out with a friend of mine, she goes, "Because you guys do talk. You do talk. We're not just talking football all the time." Right. I think guys do talk, and I do think that's a bit. But also, I'm from the arts, so we're slightly
a little more sensitive,
a little bit more touchy-feely in the arts, anyway.
Do you store it up? Because my husband stores up the banter till I'm not joking, till he catches up with his British friend.
He's backed up like a toilet. And it explodes all over you. Yeah. He needs to plunge every now and again. Yeah. No, I agree.
Well, certain people have your same life lens, right? Like even, like you talk about certain things with your personal development people, right? Like we talk about certain things with comedy friends. Yeah. Like I was with a friend from back home recently, and then one of my comedy friends joined us, and I made a dead dad joke because both of our dads had passed away, and my comedy friend and I laughed, and my other friend was like horrified, which made me like rethink. I was like, oh my God, did I just offend my comedy friend? And my comedy friend was like, I don't even understand that question. What? And I'm like, oh, right. It's like, oh, know your audience. I'm like, oh, okay, right. I forget. There might be different it's true. I would never have said it to my childhood friend because that would be horrible and offensive. He doesn't speak that language. But to a comedy friend, dead dad joke away. We're both members of the club.
But I think you might have also brought something up, and that maybe we should discuss that. It's like navigating conversations now, because there is a little bit of fear of saying the wrong thing, which I think that...
You mean like a cancel culture kind of thing?
Yeah, and I think that had disappeared. I think I was one of that from that generation of like, hey, anything goes. And now it's kind of like, oh, but not that. It's interesting because I find myself editing myself, even as a comedian, like, actually, I'm not going to do that set tonight because I don't want to offend. And someone said, what are you doing? That's a great bit. And I go, I don't know, I mean, this, in 1998, I was Gay Actor of the Year in Great Britain. And I used to do stand-up about that. And I've dropped that set because I'm straight. And I thought, but I'm not sure if I've dropped it for the right reasons. I'm scared of someone saying, well, you shouldn't have been gay actor of the year because you're straight. Whereas it was a joke. I mean, it actually happened, but it was a joke for me,
I think you're right. I think we do edit ourselves now. And like anything, that's not a bad thing, right? That we edit ourselves. I think that we needed to go there. But now maybe, on a scale of things, maybe we need to come back a little bit. Maybe we've gone like to full edit, and maybe we just need to we need to think and edit.
Yeah. I think it's about the intention of where it's coming from, right? People have maybe gotten a little sensitive about some things because people were maybe too insensitive about things. And there's somewhere in the middle where it's like, can we discuss it and have a laugh and be open about it, or at least have a thought about it before it's like, no, you're a terrible human being for even acknowledging that as a thing.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. And I think, and I do feel that we're at a stage where I want to have conversations, and I'm thinking, actually, I'm not sure if I want to have that uncomfortable conversation. And that's a phrase we hear a lot, where it's going, we need to have these uncomfortable conversations. And I feel for the first time in a long time that actually we're not allowed to have some of these conversations, or I feel like that, going, I better be careful.
Yeah,
don't want to
that's
say
a
something.
concern.
Yes, that concerns me, because I want to hear what other people's point of views and their ideas.
Agree. That's how we grow and learn.
Yeah, and maybe we can share. But I worry that we're all retreating a little bit. So it's interesting you say, are we talking more? And I think on some levels we are, and on some levels I feel like we're retreating more.
Yeah. Well, do you think that that's part of what you do, Camilla, in coaching, is give people the tools to either bring that up, or if you hit a point where someone is uncomfortable, to feel comfortable saying I'm not really comfortable with that?
Yes. I was just going to say, it's interesting because I work with a lot of couples too. And, the problem is usually not what's said. The problem is all the stuff that's not said. And avoiding the uncomfortable conversations. Because if you said something that upset me, and I have the right to say, do you know, David, I feel a little bit funny when you say that. You'd probably be like, gosh, I hadn't thought about it like that. And we would have a really good conversation about it. So then we're both learning and growing and being able to look at things. And you could say, well, I didn't mean it like that. And I could say, well, now when you explain it like that, I hear you. So I think those conversations are vital. And also, back to Casey's point, with any of my clients, there are so many conversations they take to their workplace and to their families that are uncomfortable. And sometimes it's accepting, do you know what? This is one of those conversations that's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it anyway, because we need to have it. Right? And to grow from it. I'm worried that we are stopping growth and evolvement a little bit.
Do you feel like there's anything that comes up among your clients that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe 90% of people talk about this thing and none of them know that they're all talking about it?
That's what I was about to ask. Is there an overriding issue that you say, God, if you all knew?
Yeah. It'll be imposter syndrome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Some of the people you just think, no, there's no way. Yeah. They will be like, oh, I don't know. Should I be, I don't know. Should I be there? Do I know what to say? And you're like, what? Yeah.
That's fascinating. So
we're all doubting ourselves.
Everyone is striving for this dream. And then sometimes they get close to it and go, I don't deserve this. Or I'm not. Yeah.
Or what if they find out I don't really belong here?
That's it. That's it. What if they find out and, that I don't know? And I'm like, everybody is learning. It's okay. That's just part of your leveling. It's okay. This is a new thing. Worthiness. Am I enough to be here? Do I deserve it? All of that. Yeah. So I do a lot of hypnosis sessions on that.
That's fascinating. I was going to say I was on the set of a TV show that I wrote and started, and there was a very famous actor came for lunch, and I said to him, I was in the parking lot afterwards, and he came and said hello and said, I just want to say congratulations. And I said, I don't know how I'm getting away with this. And he said, and then he said, everybody feels like that. And he's very famous actor himself, and and he has his own show. He's a gazillionaire, and he goes, I don't know how I've got where I've got.
What do you think part of it is? Because we're like, oh my God, I'm getting to do the thing I wanted to do. Like, what if they realized I'm not supposed to be this lucky? Like, I feel like part of it is that. Like, do you ever feel that, Camilla?
Of course, yes. And I think the thing that has surprised me the most, and I'm curious to hear if you have experienced this too, that one dream job that you think is going to be the thing, and then you do it and you don't enjoy it. Have you been there? Because I've had lots of clients who've done that. They've been so shocked. They're like, why am I feeling this when I'm finally doing this?
Yeah. I think, but the problem I've had with sometimes is the dream jobs is the pressure that comes with it.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, that does often come from the outside. And there's not a lot you could, like, somebody will, and I'm not sure this is an English thing, but if someone tells you, it's like, I should never read reviews. I mean, we all do, but if I think it was Paul Newman said, if you read a good review, it lasts 3 minutes. If you read a bad review, it lasts 3 weeks.
That's right.
And
that's a negativity bias in the brain right there for you.
Yeah. I had a movie that was out, and my hometown Cambridge premiered it in England, and I was like, "Oh, this is an amazing moment! I'm taking it home," and it got incredible reviews, and I was like, and then there was one bad one, which was like, "Who does this guy think he is? Coming back here, showing off? He's not as talented as he thinks he is." It was just a personal attack, and I just thought, "Oh," and I just like, I remember going home on the plane, just feeling like utter shit. And I just been told it was a great film by all these people, but the one person that had nailed me,
it's like they say, like, your worst fear. Like, I've seen people like write comments of like stand up online that they're like, oh, forget that microphone, why doesn't she put something else in her mouth? And I'm like, wow, somebody really took the time to write that. I stopped looking after that. But I think I agree it is kind of the pressure, but I also feel like when it's your big dream job and you have like this expectation and you get there, it's also a little bit of like, oh, well, either for me, it was like, this isn't 100% what I thought it was. Also, I'm like, oh, it's my first time getting to do it. So I'm still figuring it out. I don't like that feeling of like, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to prove myself because I want to make sure I get this right because it is my dream. And then a little bit the fear of losing it, but also like, oh my God, this is eating my life. I don't know how to sustain this. How do I have this it was being head writer of a show. I loved it. And it was also like full of so many things I hadn't experienced. And yes, it was like the pressure and the expectation and the whatever, and it ate my life. But if you ask me now, do I want to be a showrunner of my own show? Yeah, 100% I do. So I'm like, maybe it was like the first time thing that it wasn't what I thought it was. It's probably different every show because it's different people, it's different material. Also, I feel like part of the drive is like trying to meet those ridiculous challenges, you know, like I've talked to you before. It's a little bit of like being like a mental athlete. You know, I'm not winning any physical awards, but if you're like, we need 12 scripts tomorrow, I'm like, all right, coffee, let's do this. I don't know how I'm going to figure it out, but I've done it. And so I don't know. I just started a new train of thought instead of answering the question. But
that's like squeezing that many scripts, let's say, that's like squeezing the creativity out. And that's the same in the dancing, right? I mean, there's a level where it's fun, and then there's a level where it's like, oh, now I'm like empty. Now
like, how do you find the balance of doing the dream and like sustaining the like, I'm just a person who needs to be like happy and feel connected and rested? That feels like the challenge.
And I think that is the challenge in life. And so I call this my second time around in that, because I've learned I don't want to head for a burnout again. Mm-hmm. So if I don't want that, and that's my, I don't want that. So what do I need to put in place? So the way I run my business is that I have a set amount of clients that I can see each week, because if I go over that, I'm not listening to myself. And then I'm not walking the walk here for my clients. How can I sit here and honestly tell you how to do balance in life with working and filling up your own cup so you can be creative if I'm not doing it? That's just, to me, not right to me. Okay. So I have to do that. I'm very strict with my schedule, and I'm very strict with my self-care, because otherwise I simply can't give. I'm also a highly sensitive person, so I have to, know that about myself. If I overdo it, I just don't feel good, and then I'm giving from empty, and that's a terrible session. So
what kind of things do you do to maintain that balance?
So I schedule in meditations every single day, nature, walking with my dogs, being out in nature. I have many of my favorite, hikes here that I love. That's one of the things that I love about living in California. So many gorgeous hikes. I do pickleball right now because I realized I needed something that felt playful. I was missing something playful, because to be honest, since I left dancing, I hadn't found something that actually made me feel that playfulness that dancing can feel, just, when we're in that creative playfulness. And pickleball is doing that. It's really fun. So I laugh and I have fun with it. But this is the interesting part. I'd only been there for about a month, and this lady said, "Oh, do you want to do, like beginners? Do you want to compete with me?" And I was like, whoa. I'm here to have fun. Let's not make the same mistake again. Like, let's not make my hobby to my career here. Because that's a different thing. I'm there to laugh and have fun, and yes, like win in the moment, but also couldn't care less if I lost. You know what I mean? But I want to be good at the game. But that's different.
Were you tempted?
How important was winning?
I was not tempted.
Right. That's what I'm like. You don't have that like thing inside you that's like, but I'm a winner. I'm a champion.
Yes, but don't tell anyone.
Interesting.
No, just because of the shots. Like it's not about winning like against someone. I don't care about that. But I really care about my shots and like the strategies about it. That I find quite interesting, just because it's engaging the brain and the body. Honestly, it's way more fun than going to the gym, to be fair.
Yeah.
I want to bring up something you brought up earlier on, which was about finding joy. And I think this is something that all three of us have probably struggled with, is like you probably, like what Casey was saying about being a showrunner. I remember doing a movie, and there's the anxiety of, is the movie going to get made? Then the movie is in production, and you're just under incredible pressure to get it made. And then there's the premiere, and I didn't enjoy that because it's a premiere, and you're just thinking, is anyone going to enjoy it? And yet it was a dream job. I presume that's like you with dancing, that you are doing a live show, then you've got the result. Where's the joy in that? Where are the moments where you go, I'm loving this? Or
do you know what? All of the rehearsals back in the day, when I was polishing every step, every move perfect. If I really look back and think, the moments I remember are in the rehearsals room. It's really bizarre, sweating, working so hard that every toe is hurting. And you go home and you're like, that was excellent. There were many practices where I left crying, thinking I cannot do this. I will never make it. But those practices when I left thinking, it's all coming together. It's going to be all right. Those are the moments. They are bigger than the ones where I lifted the trophy.
Yeah, because it's for you. It's like you with the pickleball, or me with the stupid 12 scripts of like, I could do it. The personal challenge, right? Like Dave, when when you're
process.
Like, I got the movie made.
So you're talking about the process and the purpose of doing it.
Exactly. We're coming back to purpose, as you said, right? But also I tell everybody the process has to be enough.
Right.
And that's the truth. Because if it wasn't enough for you to make the movie or to write the script or for me to create the number, well, then we're never going to be satisfied, really, are we? Because everything else is external.
Right.
Plus, there are more of those hours than the quote unquote like winning moments in front of people, right? It takes a lot of hours to be a person that gets to live the dream.
It's interesting because I work at a theatre school, and we've just had our finals last week, and we have a big issue at the school, I feel, and a lot of the teachers say this, that the students, they look forward to finals week. That's their goal. They're going to perform in everybody. And we keep saying process. Enjoy the process. That's more important than the final. And I've even said, can we just change the grading system so you don't get hardly anything for the final performance?
Good idea.
And make it that they are judged on the process and how they got there. Like a mathematical thing. I remember being told in maths, it doesn't matter if you get the right answer at the end. It's how you got there. Certainly in the UK,
Agreed.
There was how they...
But I don't think I could grasp this concept until I'd gone through it. It's sort of looking back almost. It's like I needed the consciousness and awareness to understand, because it wasn't that my coaches didn't tell me that. They told me the victory is short. You better enjoy the journey. And I'm like, this is hard work. It's painful. This. What do you mean enjoy?
Right. You're like, tell me after I've got the trophy.
Before we move on to questions, come on. What was it like lifting a trophy? Come on.
Oh, it was magical. It was magical. It was magical. There was a couple of magical moments where, you know, we had made some great results, but lifting that Strictly Come Dancing trophy on the final night, when I knew inside that I was going to, you know, let them know the next week that I would not be returning. It felt like the biggest, I can feel emotional just thinking about, like, the biggest gift from the universe saying, okay, you can go on now. Like, go ahead. You got it. Full circle, you know, of all of that done. So that was really nice. And I'll be forever grateful, because clearly I didn't do that on my own, and everybody voting and supporting me, that felt like a really big gift of a really long and very hardworking career before that moment.
So that's a good question. How important do you think support is to having a dream?
I think it's important, because I'll never forget. I was thinking about this recently. I had a coach. He was 17 times world champion or something. But I remember just one day where we were really working hard. We didn't have much money at the time. And he stopped his car when he was seeing us walking to practice, and he picked us up, and he did that a few times. And it was like, he believed in us. I can't even explain it, but that little gesture, again, you can see I'm like feeling emotional about that. But people who were so successful just believing in you and seeing your talent way before it was, you know, materialized was amazing. So I think support from, you know, people around you, no matter what, there were different people that supported me in different ways, even if it was just somebody who liked to come and watch us at the competitions and say, oh, I love watching you guys. That, like, little things like that definitely mattered. And of course, my family. I mean, I couldn't have done it without them driving me around the country, you know, and supporting me financially at the time.
Yeah.
All right, we should move on to questions, shouldn't we? We should get to the
time goes by so quickly.
I know. We've flown by again. All right, I'm going to start with this one then. So, if you won the lottery tomorrow, the big one, what would you do?
I'll do exactly the same as I'm doing now, but I would like to see if I could reach more people, because I've asked myself that question quite a few times, actually. My passion is the brain and mindset, and I would just want to help as many people as I can, because knowing that people are struggling in this world and that the world can be a lot for people, just that hurts my heart.
Nice. Casey.
Beautiful. I mean, as a healthy person who also strives for balance in life, what kind of snacks, I know this is the question I always have to ask, what are the snacks that either like comfort you or get you through when you need energy or give you that taste of home? Do you have like a go-to snack?
Cake for breakfast.
And coffee.
I did not see that coming.
I am Danish, and I'm going to be open and honest about this. I love pastry. Every type of pastry and cake for breakfast.
Here's
and I shall continue to do that.
Is a Danish called a Danish because you guys eat stuff like Danishes for breakfast?
Yes. Yeah. But we obviously don't call it a Danish. We have names for each one. But over
it's
in
like
England
the French
here,
press.
I love cake. I'm obsessed with cake.
I got totally thrown when I moved here, and there were certain things that I'm going. When I asked for a cafetiere, they said, "No, it's a French press." I went, "What? Oh, they don't call that in France or Europe."
We're very sophisticated.
You call it what it is. It's a simpler life. Yeah. I love that in Solvang. It's just like you must have turned. Oh,
why did you mention that now? Now I need to drive there and have a cake.
Yeah. It's like the city of Danish cakes. I love that place, and it's so genuine, good. Isn't it? It's where all the Danes settle.
It's really good.
Yeah. Okay, I've got to ask you this question, then we'll get back to Solvang. Oh no, she's gone. So, what is your favorite animal and why?
Dogs. I'm obsessed with dogs. Just love dogs. I can't imagine my life without dogs. Simple as that. We have 2. We always have dogs. They're just like the best. I like horses too, but dogs.
All right.
All right. And if we really knew you, what would we know about you?
Oh, that I eat a lot of cake. I'm a terrible friend if you're on a diet, okay? I'm a terrible friend.
It's not fair because you have such a good little petite figure. All those years of dancing have set you up for a life of just being fit.
Do you want to know the secret that I tell one of my dearest friends over in Oregon that she really disliked me for? A long time ago, because I love cake so much, I had to come up with an affirmation, okay? So I believe that eating a cake every morning is good for me. It adds to my wellness. And I know, whatever. But that's what I tell myself because I just feel it's joy. When we talk about joy and good for the soul, that's how I feel when I have that pastry in the morning.
Right. I think that's what the Solvang should say. As you drive in, because it's good for you.
Right? Because starting the day with cake makes a great day.
Yeah. We should explain to anybody who's not in California, Solvang is a town in California where all the Danish people have migrated to over.
And they have Danish delicacies.
Yeah. Yes, every store and it looks like you're in Denmark.
And they're properly named.
Yeah.
Do you want to know where I got the habit from? My dad. Yeah. And I'm going to just share this briefly because I feel like I need to. We were at the most sacred place, meditating at Lake Shrine in LA, which is a great place to go if you want to meditate and feel the peace and calm there. And we're meditating. My dad is sat next to me. He's so calm. And then he opens his eyes and he's like, Camilla. I said, yes. He's like, I had a download. I was like, what, Dad? We need to go and eat cake.
Very wise man. Very wise man. Well, Camilla, thank you so much for joining us. That's been amazing. I'm sorry we've got to say goodbye, but we've all got to get a piece of cake now and enjoy the rest of our day.
And if anybody wants more Camilla, you can check her out on the Zenme app and several other apps, and you can do some meditations with her. And I mean, also just eat cake and think about her. Lots of options.
I think that's what we learned today. Eat cake.
Right?
And live life.
Thanks, Camilla.
Go. That's a good poster. Thank you, Camilla. Thank you for being here. Bye, Dave.
Bye.
Bye.
Quick shout out to Mike Nicholas for being our tech savior and Carmen Sclafani, also known as Wiser Time. Thanks for our music. And thank you all for listening.